My name is Evodia Mohanyane, and I'm your host for today's webinar. We're very excited to have you here. In the chat, we'd like to hear from you. Are you excited? Are you nervous? Are you frustrated? We know it's a very tricky period for many of us, but I hope for some of the seniors that are done registering, that the excitement and the buzz is starting to kick in. Some of you are finishing and you will be clinching exactly what it is in our name, hashtag securing your grad in 2024. And we're excited to journey with you as we go there. So before we get on the road, I've got exciting guests that I'm going to introduce in a couple of seconds. Before then, we want to make this experience the best experience possible in today's webinar. So you will notice that your microphones as well as your cameras have been disabled. Only reason we do that is to ensure that we have a seamless experience and we don't have sound interruptions from the platform. Now, you also see that we ask that you please join the session using your full name and surname. Why we do that? We have quite a number of giveaways that we also do. And we want to make sure that we keep in touch with you with the latest happenings on our respective University of the Free State campuses, as well as exciting opportunities regarding your career and your journey here at the UFS. Now that we have the ground rules off, we also want to encourage you to engage with us in the chat function today. Just because your microphone and your camera is off doesn't mean we don't want to have a conversation with you. So please get in touch with us. Tell us how you're feeling on the side. Show us an emoji, but also we want you to participate in our polls. So what you will see on your screen is we have a feature we launched at the end of last year called our participation polls. So we'll have frequent questions that we ask in the middle of our webinars. All we ask is that you pick an option when the question comes up and you click on the submit button. You will see it will pop up on your screen. If you are using a mobile device, it will pop up on your mobile device. If you are using a laptop, so a bigger computer device, it will also pop up there. With that being said, let's get the show on the road. Today with us in this webinar, we have some of the big guns on our campuses. Those of you who know us, STG style, we roll with the who's on campus. We have Gugu Kanye, who's the Assistant Director at the Center for Teaching and Learning. Ms. G is also Head of Academic Advising at the institution. The ladies in red at the corner residence at Lehakwe, also known as Ms. G, and as well as on the South Campus of the Higher Certificate. Gugu is no stranger to the hashtag Secure the Grad audience and tribe. So Gugu, excited to have you back in the new year. Looking forward to our conversation. And another person who is no stranger is Nshamula Shongwani, also known as Pastor H. You hear it's Ms. G, Pastor H. I don't know, are you guys trying to vibe with the 2000s? Pastor H also is no stranger. I think this is most probably his 6th webinar with us. So welcome to the platform. And we're really looking forward to talking about some of the most uncomfortable conversations, which is UFS Appeals. Those of us, I don't want to look to the left or to the right or in front. When I say those of us who've gone through the appeal process know that it's daunting, but we want to make sure that we empower our students as best as we can. Pastor H, welcome. Looking forward to our chat. Last but not least, we have a new one on the block. We have Dr. Rosaline Sebulao. She's the Teaching and Learning Manager, Deputy Director at the Office of the Dean, Faculty of the Humanities. Dr. S is no stranger to many of the students in the humanities space, also our student entrepreneurs. Dr. S, we're looking forward to having you here. Tribe, this is the first time we're trying out or we're piloting our faculty voices. So we heard you on the evaluations that you've been completing, that you want someone from the faculty to come speak to you. So we've done just that and brought Dr. Sebulao to come speak to us. We know Faculty of the Humanities you represent in these webinars. So looking forward to hearing how we can best assist our students to have a successful start to 2024's academic year. With that being said, please give a warm welcome. We can see the emojis, the applauses. So to our presenters, our audience, very ready for you. With those short introductions, I'm just going to quickly highlight why the importance of this webinar and why today is happening. We have over 168 of you on the platform. You successfully broke Microsoft Teams registration, over 1,000 of you having an interest in participating in this webinar. The importance of this webinar is so that we can centralize information around registration, orientation, as well as appeals in the beginning of the year, critical time for our seniors as well as first years. And we know that information, although it's shared, is not easily accessible or interpreted by our students. We also know that our students like seeing a face. They want to talk to a body. And now that we've gone the hybrid of online and face-to-face with our registration, this gives another opportunity and avenue for our students to access crucial, important, and verified information. There are many scammers out there, so we want to make sure that you get the information from the horse's mouth. One of the key issues that we will be touching on today is also highlighting important information for our students facing academic appeals. We know you're very anxious. Some of you are waiting for the outcomes and you don't know what your fate is. And you're thinking, must I register? Must I not register? You are sending 10 emails around. Please get back to me. I've not heard back from you. So we'll be hearing about that. We'll also be sharing tips and tricks on how to navigate what can be a challenging time, especially for our senior students once you've transitioned from first year. First year, guys, pap and place. Once we move to second, third, final year, even post-grad, whole different story, but we're here to give you just the right nuggets in making this journey possible and fun. Last but not least, we know that every space is governed by rules and guidelines, and it's like rules of the game, knowing how to play the game. So one of the reasons we've brought Dr. Rosaline is because we want to hear from the faculty. How do we play this game successfully so that we can secure the grad? So knowing what the rules are will make you a successful student. So this webinar promises to serve exactly those multiple purposes for you. Let's get started. So let's quickly get a brief introduction from our speakers. We'll start with Dr. Rosaline, just to tell us a little bit about yourself. At Secure the Grad, Dr. Rosaline, we don't talk to strangers. We want to warm up. Tell us omang, and one thing that you'd like the Secure the Gradders to know about you today. Welcome to the platform.
Thank you so much, Wadi. I'm so excited to be on this platform and especially to see so many of the students having registered and to be sharing this platform with colleagues. Rosaline, give me Rosaline. I always tell my students, don't want to hear you behaving like you don't know where we come from. Respect. Me Rosaline, if you don't want to say Dr. Rosaline. I'm the mother to all these, even Klamulo who's clapping, all of them. That's one thing that is important. And most importantly is that humanities is my home. I did my Bachelor of Science in this faculty many years ago, just to be exact, so that students can know that they were not even yet born. I did this in 1993. I got my degree in 96. And then, yeah, that is that. So, but I also want, apart from introducing myself, I always have a concern, and you said it rightfully so, Evodia, that students would like to know the people in the faculty, to see the faces. But I'm not alone in the faculty, and I always want the students to know who the people that are here to support them are. Firstly, our dean is the one person who's very supportive to our students, and I would like them to know who's Professor Masoha Mohomenda. I'm the teaching and learning manager, but we also have the faculty manager because she's the person responsible. When we're talking exclusions, when we're talking registrations, we're talking about Memarika. It's important that the students should know. It's important that students must know who the HODs in their departments are. Because while you are doing Bishop of Science, there's that department that you are attached to. Who is your HOD? Who is the program director for your program? That is an important, because that program director is the advisor during the the registrations. And they also need to know the advisors, and we'll talk about that. But that's shortly who Rosaline is.
Welcome to our platform, Rosaline, and we're really looking forward to the conversations. Now let's move over to Gugu. Gugu, for our new friends at Secure the Grad, please give us a little bit of who Gugu is. What is Gugu bringing to the table today?
Afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Vodes. Evodia's actually done most of the introduction, who I am. She's given everything away. I don't know what else you need to know. But Gugu is also a BSc genetics graduate that has found her way and her home in higher education studies. My love is for students to gain access into higher education, but most importantly, to succeed while in higher education. So at the core of what I do, I didn't want to spend time in the lab with the Petri dishes. I chose the other side of the behavioral genetics side, and that is to work with students, work with student development, support students optimally, and ensure that they #secure the grad. That's the long and short about me. Evodia has given half of my story, my life story away, so I'm glad to be back, and I'm looking forward to our conversation this afternoon. Thanks.
Awesome, Gugu. I couldn't help it. You've been to too many of the webinars and hosted a couple of them, so my mouth was just running there. I'll make sure with Pastor H next time I rein it in. Shabula, welcome. A little bit about you. I know there's one thing I left out that I didn't highlight, and that's maybe which race you are from. Please reintroduce yourself to our audience, and looking forward to our chat.
All right, thank you, Evodia. I am looking forward to the conversation in the chat today. And Samuel Lakishongwani, Residence Head of House Argumentum and Administrative Officer in the Office of the Vice Rector Academic, responsible for everything appeals and readmission. And yeah, the last time I was here, I was a father of 2. Now I'm a father of 3. And next day, I will still be a father of 3. Nothing shall change after this, according to my plans. I always have to say that. And yeah, I'm a humanities graduate. I used to be a faculty advisor in the humanities before Dr. Rosaline came. And I was a first year 2008 also before, well, they were born when I was studying, but definitely in preschool at that time. So yeah, governance and political transformation, honors in business management. And then now I'm on my way to my 3rd qualification, postgraduate diploma in theology. Pastor H, after all. So yeah, thank you, Vodia.
Awesome. As you can see, everybody on this platform, Kibo Doctor, Kibo Mang. So these are people that know their story, and you are in good hands this afternoon. So let's jump straight into our conversation. I want to encourage our audience to please already bring those questions. You don't even have to wait for us to start talking. Bring your questions in. We'd like to hear from you. Our first poll is already up. The question there is, have you familiarized yourself with the 2024 UFS registration processes and dates? Is it a yes or is it a no? Click submit. And let's see what the poll shows us. There we go. That was just a teaser. We want to see fast fingers. Are you ready? Let's kick off with you, Shamulo, because we know there are critical processes running right now, especially for our students that are uncertain, and that is the appeal. If you can highlight to us, what does the appeal process entail? Some people are confused. What's this appeal we're talking about?
Yeah.
You are lucky that you don't know what it is. So let's hear from you. What does the UFS appeals process entail?
Thank you. Look, even if you do not have to be involved with the whole appeal process, you still need to know, what it entails so that you can, by all means, avoid it. As you know, that at the end of the year, beginning of the year, you're going to receive an academic standing. I believe that Dr. Roslyn and Ms. G are going to touch on it. So if you are, your academic standing, your color is red, chances are you are going to be excluded or you have already been excluded. And then, so with the whole appeal process, it starts with the exclusion from the faculty, the exam board. They exclude you, they apply the rules. It means that you did not meet the progression rules prescribed by the faculty or by the university in terms of the general rules. So you do not meet the progression rules, then the exam board is going to exclude you. They have to apply the rule as it is. You are excluded. Now, from the exam board, you're going to get your letter that says you're excluded and when to appeal. Now your appeal is going to go to REC, which is of REC, Faculty Readmissions Appeals Committee. Now they are going to look at your application, where now you advocate why you could not perform the way you were supposed to perform. You give your appeal there, you advocate. And remember, I always say this, you are not going to be in the meeting where your appeal is going to be discussed. So your document that you submit must be a full representation of everything that went down. Anything you omit thinking you're going to get a second chance, there's no guarantee for that one. So you have to make sure that you put together an argument that is convincing. And by convincing, I'm not saying that you make up a story that is convincing. No, an argument that is convincing is an argument on your motivation letter that is backed up with evidence of what you're talking about. And then when these two speak to each other, your chances of coming back are much higher, because the decision by FREC and by the URRT, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, will be made based on what you have put together. So now REC will give its outcome. You can either be readmitted back into the faculty or not. And then if you are not readmitted back into the faculty, you still have an opportunity to apply to the URRT, the University Readmissions Review Tribunal, where I am based at the moment. So now you see with REC, you can just apply. The ground is that you are excluded, now you can appeal. But with the URRT, you can only appeal on 3 grounds. 1, a material procedural irregularity. Number 2, you feel like FREC did not properly consider the application or the evidence that you provided. And then 3, you have new evidence that by the time you send your application to FREC, you were still waiting for your doctor to send you an updated a doctor's report or whatsoever, or you're waiting for someone to email you the death certificate if you were affected by death, then you can apply to the URRT. So that is basically what the whole appeal process of the University of the Free State entails. The most important thing that I want you to take out is that if you find yourself having to appeal, make sure that you provide an appeal document that is detailed. I'm going to make an example that I always make. When you get out of your house, I know that these days it's different, but I'm still old school, so I'm going to take it from the old school perspective. When you get out of your house, you are fully dressed. I'm giving an old school perspective. When you get out of the house, you are fully dressed, fully covered, not half naked or whatsoever. And so is your application for an appeal. It should not be half naked. It must be fully dressed, from head to toe. So yeah, I'll go into detail when I speak about the common mistakes that we see. And it's not shady, it's just how it is. Thank you.
Very important there. I like it. I don't think you will go on a date and you've forgotten your shoes in the house. So when you leave and your outfit is incomplete, you know your outfit is incomplete. So true. You highlighted something very important, that the student will not physically represent their case. And I think that's something I'm picking up a lot, is that often the student will write and then they remember, I forgot to add this, I forgot to add that. How does one go, if you can maybe reiterate for us, if I've forgotten some detail that I think is important, and using the analogy, I forgot to put on my shoes when I walked out. I walked out in a hurry. How do I go back and rectify this? And can I go back and rectify this?
You see, with FREC, Dr. Roslyn will chip in here. With FREC, when when you get your exclusion letter, you'll be given a number of days to apply to FREC, 7 days or 4 days. And then if you are still within those 4 days, I believe that you can still update your application. Also with the URRT, if you send your application and you're still within the 7 days that you have from when you get your reg outcome letter to apply to the URRT, you can still, let's say you send something, there's still 3 days left before we close for the applications, you can still update your applications. It is easier from, or rather there's an open window between FREC and the URRT. If you miss the whole FREC, application, everything is gone, and then you forgot to add something to it, it gives you an opportunity with the URRT, if your FREC application is denied, that to say that, okay, I'm applying now to the URRT based on new evidence that I forgot or could not add as part of FREC. But now the danger is now when you apply to the URRT and your application saves, and you have not yet updated, unfortunately with the URRT, your application cannot be opened again. Once you have an outcome, you have an outcome. It is your responsibility as a student to make sure that everything that concerns your performance, your argument, is included. And I want to encourage students, because I do see, some of the motivation letters are just like, I think you have decided yourself that you don't want to come back and study at the University of the Free State, by what we read, your academic performance leaves much to be desired, but your motivation, it's like 3 lines. I'm not interested, basically. You understand? No evidence, no attachment, no nothing. And then already by looking at that, the tribunal, you just make things easy for them in terms of their decision. So yeah, hope I've answered that question.
Makes perfect sense. So I hope you've gotten that out. It's important to submit and stay within those timelines. 4 to 7 days is quite short, I must say. So I really want to encourage the students to listen to that. Read your UFS for Life email. Personal story, I had forgotten that email exists because I use my Gmail account, I use my staff account, and my letter was in there and I did not see it. So for our tribe, please make sure that it is a culture that you read your emails. One day you will be working and you're going to have to learn how to manage those emails. Before we move over to some of the key registration processes, I want us to maybe sit a little bit on the appeals and that you talk to us about, you've been in the office of the Vice Rector and particularly working with students who have exhausted the appeals process in the faculty level and are now appealing the faculty decisions. According to your knowledge and experience, what are some of the common things you've seen with unsuccessful candidates or applicants? And what are common characteristics that you've seen with students whose appeals have been successful?
Okay, do you mean in terms of how does a successful application looks like and so on? Look, what makes an application successful, it's basically your motivation and the evidence provided, and not necessarily whether you meet the rules or not. The URRT is not rule-based, but we look on outside, the conditions that the student indeed was facing. If, for example, you are out of your residential period, for example, but you only need one module, If you can pass that module, you will be able to get a qualification. In those instances, and you have never been excluded before, or you've never been to the URRT before, chances are the URRT is going to bring you back. And also an application that there are certain students, you can tell that they really sat down with someone, or they sat down themselves and gave themselves time. The timelines are clear, it's easy to follow. A reason they give on the motivation, they also tell you which exact document you have to look at. So you look at this the motivation at the same time with the evidence provided, and you can see that there's a flow and it is detailed. The argument makes sense. They're not giving a particular doctor's medical certificate. It is a doctor that you can, even when you call, because now because of what has been happening over the past 2 years, there are certain medical certificates, you look at it, you can tell that something's fishy here, and then you would call just to find out, and then you find that the number does not exist, or the doctor is not known at that particular hospital, you understand? And then already when they have to consider such an application, there is already, evidence of fraud, to that particular application. Though the decision will not be made based on that, you can come back with that particular medical certificate. However, here's the danger. You can come back with that particular medical certificate from the URRT if maybe you have got other evidence, or your academic performance has improved and FREG did not properly consider that. However, when you come back, your name is going to be given for investigations for fraud, because of that particular medical certificate. Now you come back, there's an investigation. Now you run the risk of being expelled and having that on your record as well. So yeah, in a nutshell.
As we wrap up this conversation, I think the students are asking a lot around this. Can you maybe talk to us about how long it takes for students to get feedback around their outcomes? I noticed that you mentioned there is the Faculty Readmissions Committee. There's also the URT. So based on these different committees, what's the average return time for outcomes for the students?
All right, 4 to 7 days. Dr. Rosen will also chip in. It's 4 to 7 days, 4 days being the earliest, 7 days being the latest. And I just want to say to the students that we must understand that you're not the only student that was excluded, and the meetings that faculties have to do, they're also taking place during registration. The very same personnel that has to be responsible for registration, they have to stop something to attend to these meetings. So it can take a bit longer because there is more of you. And also remember, when the faculty has made its decision, that outcome is going to be sent to SES, where SES now has to send out the communication, does not come out directly from the faculty like it is with the URRT. So between 4 and 7 days, that is at most, where you can get your outcome. And I just want to say something. I'm not sure if we're going to get to it in terms of what happens if your application of the URRT now, it's completely unsuccessful. What to do then. So I'm not sure if we're going to get to it or if I should touch on it now.
Let's jump on it. I think that's a good.
Okay.
There are those who are successful. There are those who are unsuccessful.
Yes.
So if the final word is, unfortunately, this is the end of the road for you, what should students do? Is it the end of university career? With the University of the Free State, yes, but not with universities of South Africa. I'll make an example of a guy. Back then the UAC, I had just started here. The UAC had said no, he cannot come back. He was denied readmission, but it was specifically for the program that he was doing. So what he did is he took his chances, went to the Dean of the Faculty of Humanities,
applied for readmission in the Faculty of the Humanities. Then they took him back because was never in the faculty. So they took it as you're excluded in your faculty for that particular program. And there's nothing wrong with that. The SOP does allow for something like that, you know. So he went to another faculty, started a degree from scratch, and managed to finish that degree. So if you were in one faculty and you went through the FREG denied, URRT denied, you can consider another faculty. And if there is no one within the University of the Free State that is opening its doors for you, it is not the end of the road. Take what you have, go to another university, apply at another university. Chances are you will be credited for whatever that you have passed, maybe 50% of what you would have done at the University of the Free State. Start your qualification elsewhere and then do good while you're at that side. I know of 2 guys who, after they got their URRT outcome, it was a no. One went to, I won't mention universities, went to a university in another province, another one in another province, and they got admitted and they were studying. So they should be finishing either this year or next year. So it is not the end of the road, indeed.
Thank you so much for that. It was so informative. It feels like I'm having this conversation for the very first time. I think there's always so much to learn out of this. So for the students who are in the appeals process, my heart really goes out for you. But as we said, we are positive. We listen to the advice we have. If you've gotten a no from the faculties, you did hear from Tlamulo that there's an opportunity to take that up with the university readmissions tribunal committee. You're gonna have to help me with that name. Man, the acronyms.
It's the URRT, University Readmissions Review Tribunal.
Review Tribunals Committee.
Yes.
They will reassess, remember, and they're not just looking at the rules. They're looking at the students' circumstances holistically. They're reassessing the evidence and want to make sure. And I think what that for me communicates is the UFS really cares. They want you here. They want you to succeed. They want you to finish what you started. So that a chance again to say, let's re-look whether there's no way we can assist you in finishing this degree. I think for me, that really signals a very positive stance from the university that we're not done yet up until we've exhausted everything. So Pastage, we'll circle back to in the Q&A segment. There are a couple of questions that I've seen come up in our chats. So let's see if we can tackle those regarding appeals. Now, for the big questions that have been coming up in the sections, the registration. So Gugu, I'm gonna kick off with you. You have worked very closely with the faculties. You work very closely with the process of registration across our campuses. And we wanna ask, all these years we've been working with registration, what is different about the 2024 registration process?
Thanks, Vodes. And what's interesting is there's always these questions because students move from having submitted their appeals, also now panicking about registration and what follows now. And the short and sweet answer about what is new about registration is nothing is new. You still need to register. But I must say with the UFS, one of the things that have become something new as the culture is the fact that we need to sign our registration contracts online. Now, let me tell you, on the 2nd of January already, students were already saying, you have to sign your registration contract within 2 days or else it's going to disappear and you can't register. That is not true. Yes, you need to sign your registration contract. You need to go and visit your student self-service portal and sign your registration contract. But that does not mean it expires in a day's time and everyone needs to panic and break the system. As you start and prepare for registration, step 1 is to review your academic standing and then sign your registration contract. Your registration contract is your agreement with the university, acknowledging that you are a student of the university, that you will comply to the rules and regulations of the university. And on our part as the university, that we will protect your information, but we will provide due diligence and a quality education to you while registered with us. So nothing has changed. Keep to your processes, keep connected to your faculty, but it's your registration contract that you first need to sign on your student self-service portal.
I saw, I mean, remember what is status. So I like watching the WhatsApp statuses, and I saw students saying, sign your contract, sign your contract. I started panicking because I too am a student, and I'm thinking, what student? So thank you for verifying that. So before we get to our next question, we have another poll that has popped up, and we're asking you, do you know where to find your faculty rule books? Yes or no? Faculty rule books, and Shamula spoke about knowing the progression rules. He said a lot about faculty rules. Do you know where to find your faculty specific rule book? Is it a yes or a no? Click on submit and let's see what we say. Gugu, you mentioned a big word, academic standing. There's this buzzword, yeah, academic standing. Shamula also mentioned academic standing. For those of us who don't know what it is, can you just give us a sense of what it means? You mentioned colors. What is academic standing and what does it have to do with any of these colors?
Sure, Vodes. The short and simple answer about what academic standing is, it is the UFS traffic lights. Traffic lights have 3 colors, but the UFS traffic light has 4 colors. And what does a traffic light mean? You have to observe or determine what the traffic light is saying and then action something. And that's exactly what the academic standing is. It is a process by which the faculties determine how you performed in your previous year, and they place your academic standing in a specific category, one of the 4 categories as you see on the document on the screen. So I know some students might drop or fail one module, maybe have failed CSOL, which is a module that is compulsory, but the faculty can allow you to continue with registration. You might be identified as a yellow student, that you're still on track, you just dropped one module, or you're a student that changed majors. You were doing biological sciences and genetics, you moved from microbiology to majoring in biochemistry. We're just noting that there was a plan or program change or major change for you. So you would be a yellow student. A green student is a student that they've registered for nursing and they've passed their nursing and they want to continue with their nursing. So you're green, nothing is changing about you. Yellow means there's been slight changes here and there or deviations, detours along your journey. So you just still on the right track, but we just need to keep an eye on you because you might experience another obstacle along your path. When you start moving down those colors, getting closer to red, and you're identified as an orange student, you could be one of 3 types of orange. You could be orange 1, orange 2, or orange 3. Now it's important to understand what each orange category means. And that's what you see on the screen. And that tells you what you need to action. So some orange students can still continue to register by just completing a DV4 form. Can I just say, if you're not supposed to register via DV4 form, stop sending it around to friends. It may have worked for you, but it doesn't work for Merosaline. Because Merosaline is an orange 3 student that requires a DV4 and a DV2 form. So it doesn't help her sending her DV4 form until we've processed her DV2 form. So students, please, please, please stop flooding mailboxes with DV4 forms if you're not supposed to register with the DV4 form. You're slowing down the process. And of course, like in Tlamulo, Pastor H mentioned, if you're a red student, you've landed either in the faculty readmissions or you with the UROT. There's nothing we can do. You just need to wait. I know some of you are thinking registration will close. Faculties have ensured that all of their meetings take place before registration closes. So you will be registered by the time classes start. It is only in extraordinary circumstances that you will be registered a day or 2 once classes start, but we have ensured that we are dotting all our I's and crossing all our T's to ensure that the UFS robot keeps our students on track to #securing the grad.
Gugu, I have a sense now what it is. I didn't know that a robot can have 4 colors and also that orange can count you down 1, 2, 3. But I've got a better sense now what it is. Thank you for starting that conversation with us. Merosaline, I want to transition to you. and that you talk to us about what is academics, what Gugu just explained around academic standing, what does it mean for students in the Faculty of the Humanities? I noticed also that many of you, in fact, your registration is running face-to-face. Whether you are green, you are red, orange 1, orange 2, orange 3, must I come? What does all of this mean for Faculty of Humanities students?
Thank you so much. And can I just take you back a little bit to when Guru explained the academic standing? I think Samuel said it nicely that the exams board set. And in the faculty, this is where the determination is done, whether you are red or green or orange, because they follow the rules. And that was very clear as Samuel explained. There is no emotion, there's no motivation. We just look at your performance and we follow the rules. If you fail one module twice, exclude. And then if they see that, like Google said, it looks like you might have some obstacles, you will be taken to yellow or orange. So that, and what it means is that we'll tell you if you are green, you can go ahead and register. Once the date is issued to say this is the date of registration, like we started yesterday at EXR 6, you go there and register because you don't have any problem. You are following nicely. Your curriculum is, your journey is actually flowing smoothly. But when you are red, then you are going to receive an exclusion letter. Mayor Eugene, which was another one who's very, the students must know. Mayor Eugene will send you the letter of appeal, and you must send the appeal the letter of exclusion. The students must send the appeals within the specified times in the letter. Now we find students who say, I did not see, like you were saying, my email was not working, and because we are sometimes lenient, we understand, we take the appeals, because all we are here in the readmissions committee, while we follow the rules, but we also consider the situations of the students, and we take them. Sometimes we deal with 100 appeals, having to read them, all those stories, some of them that do not make sense, but you stay nice, sleepless nights reading them because we do not want to disadvantage the students. All we are here as teaching and learning, we want to support our students. It is not the fact that we want to punish them. So it is important that when the students receive, when you see that you are yellow or orange, go and see an curriculum advisor. If it's something, curriculum advisor, they will tell you, they will go through the curriculum and tell you what is it that you need to do. And then they are going to help you to register, because you are still going to register. It's just that you need curriculum advising. That's what is important. And if it's red and you are told to appeal, please, the students must do so. What I wanted to emphasize is that in the appeals, in the readmissions committee, we have student representatives. And there is no way that because we want them to hear that we are following the process. This is part of our student engagement. They are future leaders. They need to know what's happening. And as seniors, from second year, you are a leader. You need to listen to these things and know them so that when other students are struggling, you can be able to assist without because if you still at second or third year and you do not know who's Meroslyn in the Faculty of the Humanities, if you do not know who's Mrs. Thompson in the faculty, then it means you are going to struggle yourself. So I love what you're doing, because you are trying to say to students, know what is happening in the faculty. So once they've gone to the curriculum advising, or even their program directors, because the program directors also provide academic advising. Now, as I said, currently during registration, purely the program directors are offering academic advising and curriculum. And then the curriculum advisors are assisting in terms of, helping to look where the challenges are. So that's basically what we do in the faculty. I hope that is clear. I really needed to also emphasize what Nkamelo said, the evidence. We struggle so much. Sometimes it's like we are failing our students. But if the student does not have evidence, even if it's the first year, because the rules are saying when the student is excluded for the first time, and especially if they are on the first year of learning, there's that first year concession. but the student must still submit evidence. We don't just say because you are first year, we will. So if it feels bad on me as a parent, as a teaching and learning manager, to see a student that I think, oh, I was cut a little bit.
We are back. It looks like all of us went down for a couple of seconds.
All right, so I was just talking about the evidence. That is very important. And for the fact that we have student representatives, they know exactly what is happening. And they also participate in this process, both in the exams board, we do have representatives, and in the readmissions committee. So I thought that would actually necessary to highlight. Thank you.
Thanks, Doc. I think that's very, very important. One of the questions that have come up, and I know we'll most likely address this in the Q&A segment, is some of the students highlighting that they are sitting quite far from the university campus. Is it possible to still register online, although Faculty of the Humanities has a face-to-face process?
Thank you so much. You know, if you look back in 2020 and 2021, we had so many problems in terms of online registrations. Our students have been complaining that we really do not understand. We are struggling with network and all that. And then when you'd remember that the registration would even have to be extended. The minute we extend and we open for face-to-face, the queues that were outside here, and they would go very fast because they are helped, you know, it's easier to help them on a face-to-face. So we really appeal to them that they know in the humanities, we offer face-to-face. Maybe in the years to come, when we realize that our students are, because the reality is, sometimes students, let's be honest, students will say when it comes to classes, I did not submit my assessment because I was struggling to connect. When it comes to registration, all of a sudden they want to do it online. But they're still going to send the wrong, they will be flooding the DV4s and the, DV2s, the wrong forms, not signing them, delaying the process. When we do it face to face, Evodia, it works wonders. I was at EXR6 yesterday. The queues were so long, but they go very fast because there are many advisors, there are many assistants. It is easy for us to assist them on a face-to-face.
Thanks for that clarity, Dr. S. And I'm excited to see that the faculty is heeding to the student voice around, let's be on campus, we want to see you. You're not answering our emails, so we want to walk into a building and see you process my DV4 form. It's really exciting to see that faculty is pushing very hard to make this registration as successful as possible. Now, Dr. S, you spoke a little bit about progression as well. I've seen also in the chat, students have said, I failed a first year module, I need to do a second year module. If it has phased out, what do I need to do? What must I register? Based on that background, I'd like you to maybe explain to us the importance of the faculty rulebook. Why is it important that the students consult the faculty rulebook?
Thank you very much, Ibodia. The rule book should be a friend to our students, very close, because we communicate with our students through the rule book. We communicate even with ourselves, because that's where we talk about the curriculum, what are the prerequisites, what do you need to register for this program. So the students, it's very important that the student must be familiar with the rule books. And during our orientation now we have on next week, Saturday, we do provide a clear guideline to say, how do you log in to see the rule book and what is it that you look at? So if the students do not do that, they might not know which modules. In some programs, you find that there are certain modules that you cannot take with others. So the rule book clearly outlines that. So if they do not know how to go there, they go on the website, and there's that faculty, academic. And then they go to the faculty and there's academic information, you'll find the rule books. And then you easily go to the program. If it's BSOC Science, you go under BSOC Science and you'll see the modules that are outlined under BSOC Science. And in every program, there are prerequisites that are stated there. So it's very clear. And if they do not understand, our curriculum advisors are very friendly. They can still come and say, you know what, I tried to read this, but I do not understand. Because we know that this is essential. There's no way that I can say to the student, no, go and read for yourself. It's very important that we engage with our students until we make sure that they understand, because it's for our benefit, it's for their benefit as well. We are in a relationship here. And if I do not serve the other partner does not serve me, this relationship is doomed. That's why we are said to be student-centered. This is the only way. We are here for them. And they must also take the responsibility of reading the faculty rule books.
I want to say, we always say to the students, or we used to say when we're still writing exams, I wish I knew chapter 4 as best as I knew the lyrics of that piano song. So to our audience members, know the rule books as well as you know the latest episode of your reality show, as good as you know what the latest influencer is driving, who they married to, what the latest gossip is. I think for me, it really, what you're highlighting, Rosaline, is the better you know the faculty rules, the better you're able to progress, and the more proactive you can become if you get into trouble. Life happens. As a student, life happens. You become ill, you suddenly struggle financially, and that affects you academically. But knowing where to go to, what is standing ahead that will be impacted is very important. It is as much your responsibility to get this degree as much as it is ours to help you securing that qualification. So thank you very much for that. Mary Rosaline mentioned general rules. So Gugu, I want to jump over to you to ask that you speak to us. So there are faculty rule books that speak to faculty rules, and then there are general rules that speak to the general academic rules of the institution. We also know that those are revised every single year. We want to ask, with that background, that you maybe talk to us about what are the general rules, just in general, but also what are those key general rules that our senior students need to know about.
Sure, thanks, Bodes. And I think Rosaline has touched on a few of the rules that I actually want to flag. But just to note, it is first the university's rules. So it's first the university's general rules that guide anything and everything that takes place. And secondary to that, the faculties can then enforce tighter rules that are more specific to their faculties. A simple example is the faculty of the humanities. Students in other faculties, students in the faculty of the humanities can register for a CSIL, the computer literacy module. You can register for that module. That's a module offered in the faculty of natural and agricultural sciences. So the general rule says, if you fail two modules, if you fail a module twice, then you have to appeal. But the faculty of natural and agricultural sciences have said in their faculty rules, it doesn't matter. If you fail it, we're done. Our rule as the faculty is this. So the general rule says this, but the faculty then enforces tighter rules. So it's important that you can read the general rules. It's a lengthy document, but it's more important that you read your faculty rules because they are the ones that catch up with you. But I'll touch on two general rules that are very important, especially for senior students. Senior being some were first year last year, now want to reroute and change their different path. That's one rule I want to touch on. And the other one is what results you in front of the URRT or the faculty readmissions, and that's the assessment rule. So the university's general rule about changing your program is rule number A16. If you forget anything, remember rule A16. A16 talks about switching qualifications. So I am a BA a student majoring in political science and communication sciences. And I suddenly did my first year last year, and now I want to move to social sciences and I want to do sociology and psychology. That means I'm changing a program because I'm moving from BA to B social science. The general rule of the university says I can only change once. And the reason why the university says you can change once, it's because of your residential period. So you are given, if you're in a 3-year degree, you're given an extra year or 2 years to complete your degree. So you're given a maximum of 5 years to complete your degree. So they don't want to set you up for failure by allowing you to change every year, because then you're never going to graduate. And also those that are NSFAS funded, you are then in jeopardy of financial security. So the university says for A16, you can change your program once. So if you have exhausted everything and you've not changed your program, all I'm saying is stick it through and complete the degree that you're registered for. You might not think you'll find a job, but trust you me, I studied genetics and I have a job. So it's all about how you reimagine your qualification. Through Secure the Grad, you'll find out through the year there's different types of avenues you can tap into through your degree. So for me, try and change once, and if you don't need to change, don't change. That is rule A16. Then the second rule I want to touch on is rule A18. Rule A18 talks about assessments in the undergraduate qualifications. And what that rule basically says is, for you to qualify for admission into an exam, you need to have obtained a predicate of 40%. But the faculties may have tighter rules and say you need 45% to qualify for the exam. So A18 just directs us about the assessments and what you need to qualify for an assessment. So we're currently in exam and finishing off the special exams. Those are those that are on their way to hashtag securing their grad. Maybe you didn't do so well in the first opportunity or the second opportunity exam, the additional exam, and now you have to write your special exam. For you to have gotten here, you needed that 40%. And for your exam, you need also a predetermined mark. So between the general rules and your faculty rules, familiarize yourselves how you can change. If you want to change majors, what is the avenue without changing a program? That's linked to rule A16. And with A18, it talks about how do you stay on track, stay in the green without then missing that 40% mark, and in some instances, missing that 45% mark to qualify for exams and other assessments that are performed in the module. I hope that clarifies it. If you forget anything, go on the university's website, find your faculty rule book, and understand what it means to change in your faculty and what it means to qualify for exams, because those are the two keys that unlock your road to success. Thank you.
That is awesome. So some of us think, if I don't like law, I can change to BSOC. If I don't like BSOC, I can quickly change to accounting. And little did we know, you can only change once. And as Gugu said, if you don't have to change, finish, stop being at varsity, get into a postgraduate qualification, as I can see some of our audience members are already doing their PhDs, their masters, and go work, go enjoy your money. Dr. S, over to you.
Thank you very much, Gugu, for mentioning the issue of predicate. And maybe just to make students aware that there are two types of assessments. There's continuous assessment and summative assessment. So for those students who are writing exams, tests and exams, the predicate will be 40. But for continuous assessment, we are saying 45. So if you did not obtain these, even if this is your last module before you graduate, you will not be able to be allowed into a special assessment. So this is very important for our students to know, because students come here and having 30% in their final mark, although that is the one module left, you will not be allowed into a special assessment. That is and it's painful because you are left with that. You'll have to register for that module. And I think going back to maybe the appeals, because I also think this is important, what Tlamulo said, if we as the readmissions committee say we are denying the student the appeal, we're declining, we are saying the student has the right to go to the URRT. And the URRT has the power to overturn our decision. Then the student registers. Next year, the student comes back because the student still did not perform. So we just say, we've seen this before, and we knew that the student may not be able to cope. Because sometimes it's not because we don't want, but because that we look at the residential period and we realize that with the time that is left, the student will not be able to complete the degree, or else the student is going to be overloaded with module, and that is not allowed as well. The rules do not allow us to do that. So that's one thing I had forgotten to indicate. But thanks, Gugu, about the issue of assessment, because that's very critical as well.
Very, very important. And I think from what I'm hearing is, even if I'm given another opportunity, but if I don't know what I need to do to be successful and to be reconsidered, I might lose the chance of completing my qualification at the University of the Free State. I think what this conversation is highlighting to me is just know those rules. Make sure you know the rules as best as you can. If you don't know how to interpret, because sometimes, sometimes if you don't know how to interpret what the rules are saying, there are curriculum advisors, there's the central academic advisors that are situated in CTL across all our campuses, Bloemfontein Central, Bloemfontein South, as well as on the Kwakwa campus. All the faculties have allocated people to advise you, whether they are program directors, whatever. There's people to help you interpret what these rules mean, because sometimes it can be confusing. We are sitting here with 2-3 degrees, and sometimes I have to go knock on Gugu's door and say, Gugu, what does this mean? As learned as we are, because I mean, guys, it's a different language that some of us are not used to, that the institution has put together. With that being said, I want to ask, if I am now just got a wake-up call today and thought, okay, I could figure this, I thought I could figure this out myself, but I realized I'm going to need a little bit of help. But also if I realize, you know what, I want to be serious about my academics. Both of you, including Pastor H, spoke about academic advising. What is academic advising, Gugu? Maybe let's start with you as the head of academic advising at the institution. Explain to us what is academic advising, and what are the differences between the advisors in the faculty as well as the advisors in CTL.
Thank you so much. And I think this is the best time to actually try and explain to students whose door to knock on. And I think I want to continue on the analogies. Pastor H set the tone. So I want to continue on the analogy of describing what academic advising is. So academic advising basically is that triage room that you walk into when you go to any hospital for an emergency. There's always an emergency section, and they always ask you, how are you feeling? They check your temperature. Academic advising is just that. Whether it is a nurse or a doctor that is performing that check, that is what academic advising is. We want to check your pulse on your academic journey, but also we want to support your learning and teaching. So we want to ensure that you're connected to the institution, you're connected to the appropriate supports, and more importantly, you're aligning your personal, academic, and your career aspirations. So your aspirations might be, you want to be a specialist, a pediatrician, and you have no idea what the journey is, or you want to be an attorney, because after 4 years of doing your LLB, you won't be an attorney or you won't be an advocate. So as academic advisors or any office, curriculum advisors, central advisors, we help you better understand what it means to become that advocate. In some instances, students think by just studying B accounting, in 3-4 years, they chartered accountants. The academic advisors in the faculties and the central office are there to describe for you what you need to have in place to get to that ultimate career goal that you have. So academic advising is that finger on the pulse that supports you to graduation. Now at the University of the Free State, we've gone on to further describe what types of academic advice exist. So the first one is curriculum advice. Now that is the surgeon. That is the surgeon that dissects and the anesthetist that puts you to sleep and says to you, this is what we're going to need. So the curriculum advice is what you know as your faculty advisors. Curriculum advisors are trained and are the custodians of the curriculum. They tell you what majors you need to take or minors you need to take. So you can sit in front of your curriculum advisor and say, I want to be a journalist on ENCA or any other news platform. And what do I need to do to become that journalist? And the curriculum advisors can tell you that to become a journalist, you need to have this in place and that in place. You need to take these majors and these minors to optimize your career opportunities. They are also the people that monitor your academic progress in terms of you completed this prerequisite but did not complete this prerequisite, therefore you may not progress. So they monitor and they also put you on that academic progression. So that is anyone in your faculty or academic department. And you'll see on the screen there, we've indicated how you can reach your curriculum advisors. You can visit or contact your faculty to get in touch with your curriculum advisor. Then the second type of advising that exists is registration advice. Registration advice is all the technical support that you need. So you can't sign your registration contract, you can't see the enroll button, you are struggling to accept your new study offer for those that will be studying their honors degrees this year, or you just are stuck on the student service portal and you don't know how to navigate. You can't see your modules that you've been advised to take. That is registration advice. And they are available by contacting them on a telephone line 051 401 9111 and selecting option 1. Whether you are sitting on the other side of South Africa or even on the furthest point of the country, you can reach them at any time. You're also welcome to email them. They have 100 trained staff members waiting to assist you with all your registration advice support that you might need. The last category of advisors are the general academic advisors. The general academic advisors are situated in the Center for Teaching and Learning. As Evodia said, available on all 3 campuses. And what we do is we help you find a decisive path to follow. So you're undecided, you're still determining where to go, what to major, what your future career aspirations are. Or even time management. So you've registered, you need to figure out your timetable. We are here to help you with that. And you can reach us on WhatsApp 087-240-6370 or call us 051 401 9111 and select option 2. Or you can email us on either of our 3 campuses, advising at UFS, advising QQ, and advising SC. And all of this advice is ready at our fingertips. You can walk into some of our venues on our campuses to get your curriculum advice. You can contact us for general academic advice, and you can contact us for registration advice. So before you go on an uninformed trajectory, explaining to people what it is, understand why students are being sent to a specific point so that you get the support that you need instead of having to knock on 10 different doors before you get the help that you need. Hope that is long but sweet enough for you to understand where to get the advice.
Very, very important. Back in our days, guys, we sound now so old back in our days, but when we did our first year, second year, third year, we didn't have this type of support. You went to one person in the faculty for everything. And you can imagine some of the queues. And for me, it's exciting to see how the university has really invested in capacity right from the registration process. As you heard from Gugu, over 100 staff members that are stationed, trained, ready to help you with. I saw a couple of students saying, I can't find the button to click register. My ADS color is not showing. How do I accept an offer? Those 100 staff members are there waiting for your phone call. You'll see in the chat, we've put down the number 051 401 9111. option number 1. Also WhatsApp, we have a WhatsApp line, all those details are there. Please make sure that you get in touch with them. Your faculty, also called curriculum advisors, please get in touch with them. And for some of us who don't know, should I stay in my qualification? Should I move? I have a job, I have a child, I've got responsibilities. How do I get to my studies with all of these? Please help. The central advisors are there, stationed at the CTL, Center for Teaching and Learning, at any of our 3 campuses. Our last poll has just come up. We want to know who helps to ensure that students stay on track with their curriculum and comply with the UFS rules. Is it the CTL Central Advisors, curriculum advisors, or none of the above? Sometimes they say if you just press the middle, you might just be lucky. I don't know. But choose your option and click on submit. We're ready to see what you think there. Before we wrap this conversation up, Dr. S., for the faculty advisors, particularly in the Faculty of Humanities, what are specific services that students can expect from the curriculum advisors in the faculty? And maybe if you can talk to us about some of the benefits that these relationships with the advisors yield.
Thank you very much, Evodia. This is very important. And thanks, Google, for a nice, distinction between these advisors, because sometimes there's been a confusion. But what I want to clarify, to also add, is that we do work with the academic advisor in CTL that is allocated for the humanities, which is Monique. So it's important that our students must know when they have challenges in terms of saying, I'm struggling with time management, I'm struggling with study skills. Monique is there to support them. She holds workshops for them. She sits with them and really supports them. Now, our curriculum advisors, when we say to students, please go see an advisor, it's when we see that sometimes you just chose modules without really having been guided. And they sit with them, they really ask them questions. What is it that you want to do with this program, with this qualification? And then they are able to advise you very thoroughly. And then it's important that they also help monitor, because sometimes we find students at the end of their study period, they realize that I'm 1 module short. And you can imagine you want to graduate and you realize that there's 1 module. Hence, we say, make sure that you become a friend to your curriculum advisor, because they monitor your modules from first year. And I think that there's that part where sometimes people say, I don't think I like this module. By March, you should have done that decision. Then they advise you. Why do you say you don't like this? Is going in line with this program of yours. They're able to advise you, so that when you drop a module, you know which one to add. Because sometimes you drop and you do not add a module. Then by the end of your qualification, when you're supposed to graduate, you short credits. Lousy 16 credits. So this is why our advisors are important for our students. So when they regularly visit, they will never say we are tired of you. We assist. The advantage is that they know all other services that the students need. Sometimes you find that they see the student is failing a module. They say, what is the problem? Is it writing your assignment? Have you ever been to the right side? The student say, no, I do not know. Then they refer the student. Have you ever been to Monique in CTL for time management or for study skills and all that? No, we do not know where these are. So it is important for the students in the humanities, to regularly visit our curriculum advisors. At the orientation, I always make sure that I'm with them to start telling the first years. So if you're a second year this year, there's no way that they have not heard me with the advisors at orientation. It's Monique, it's our curriculum advisors. It is South Campus, Traro. I make sure that all these people that support, it's 8-step code tutorials. It is first year success program. I always have them. And then it's important that they then communicate, because we want the students' journey, academic journey, to be a smooth one. If they're really struggling, let them make sure that they communicate with us. We are here. I'm busy typing out who is responsible for which program in the faculty, because we have BA and BSOC science. But under Bachelor of Arts, that is mainstream and extended, we have Metande Gashlekiso. I'll type her email address there. But we also have a Bachelor of Social Science mainstream, is Mephilis Masilo. And then we have BSOC Science Extended, as well as BA Integrated Communication Studies under, Department of Communication. That is Meneliswa. So I'll type all those, the students can take the emails so that they can communicate with them when they need. I hope that clarifies everything that I was supposed to help with.
A big thank you for that, Dr. S. Dr. S, just one last one, and I know Gugu, you can also add to this. You spoke about students adding modules or dropping modules. When can they do that? And we know sometimes you find out when it's late and you're like, quickly want to drop a module. Can they do it anytime? And what are the implications for adding and dropping modules?
Thank you very much. I think on the proof of registration, that the time is indicated when they can drop the module or add a module, which cannot be later than March, if I remember well. So what is important is we are allowing that. Remember, the classes have already started. Now, if you take longer to drop or add a module, you are already losing a number of classes. So that affects your performance, because sometimes assessments in March are already done. So that's why it's very significant that you really consult with the academic advisors, curriculum advisors. Thanks, Google, for having that. So I'm focused on this first semester, but it is very crucial because it goes with the times of classes and assessments. You cannot just change anytime you want, and then you still expect to pass the program at the end of the year. So thank you so much for that chat, Google. But you can also add on to that.
As you can,
thanks. Sorry, Votes. Just to clarify, the table in the chat, because some people might wait for the 19th of July. The first date, so as you can see, the last date to add or change a module for the first semester is the 16th of February. And for second semester modules, it's the 19th of July. So don't come the 19th of July and try and change your first semester module. No. It doesn't work like that. But also there are finances allocated to each module. So the time you have to drop a module without having been charged for that module. So the last date, that's the second row. The last date to cancel your module with full credit is the 31st of March. So those with NSFAS might think, oh, that means nothing. But remember, that might come across as a discontinued, and NSFAS counts that module as a failed module. So don't wait for the 31st of March. Do it before the 31st of March so that you're credited for it, and then you don't have to pay for the module. And for the second semester, it's the 15th of August. These dates are very important because some students say, but I discontinued the module on the 1st of April. The 1st of April means we are charging you for that module, and you can't add or drop that module anymore. So you can't go to Meadowsleen or any of the curriculum advisors and say, I want to drop sociology and take psychology on the 1st of April. Now we're in full swing of the academic year, so take note of these dates, because students do have a tendency. I know I was a student and I still am a student. It's easy for us to just go click that discontinue, deregister button, but think about the implications before you drop that module. Go and speak to a curriculum advisor and find out whether that module means anything in your degree and whether you will be charged for that module. So please take down these or mark down these dates on your calendar, but also visit your faculty before making that decision to just drop a module.
We don't want all of this to end in tears, and they say it's going to end in tears. So before you drop a module, please, STG tribe, speak to the curriculum advisor. Remember, we spoke about the faculty rulebook. There are tables in the rulebook that tells you what are important NB, those you cannot afford not to register, which modules are compulsory, which modules are electives. All those things are in the faculty rule books. And if you don't understand and you need further clarity, please make an appointment with our advisors so they can help you. They are trained, they're qualified, they know the processes. The last thing, I think it's always sad for me meeting up with students that I say, yeah, you're finally graduating. And they say, oh, I missed one module. And unfortunately, I have to pay 8,770 in the beginning of the year just to register that 116 credit module that I missed. And I forgot to register in my first year. We know one popular one is, as friends, we lie to each other. You don't have to register UFSS, or you don't have to do CECL. And those, ladies and gents, are modules that, unfortunately, as University of the Free State students, you have to do in order to obtain your qualification. So I want to encourage, your friend is not the advisor. You know, they're a friend. They're exactly that. Your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whatever, your mom, your dad, Evodia herself is not the advisor. Please make sure that you reach out to your faculty. You come to CTL, always ready to help you. I know there are many questions around finances that remain unanswered. That doesn't mean we're not going to talk to you next week on the 6th of February. We do have a finance and accommodation webinar lined up. We bring specialists that speak to specific topics regarding your registration during this period. So please do not despair and feel like I've wasted my time by sitting here. We have specialized people that are going to talk to you about provisional registration, about bursaries, about postgraduate funding. For those of you who don't qualify for bursaries, we also have people to speak to you about loans. What loans are available for you as a student, whether you qualify for those loans, you don't qualify. We've partnered with Standard Bank particularly. They've got absolutely amazing products for students, and please come find out about that information next week. Check out our social media platforms as well for this information. Look at your student email, how you can sign up. The sign up link will be up before the end of the week. So make sure that before we reach the cap of 1,000, that you get your name in there so that you can get all information regarding funding for your qualification. So registration fees, what are financial blocks, how to get lifted, if you have outstanding fees, can you still register? So all those questions that we've been seeing on the chat, we haven't forgotten about you. We've got a date with you, 6th February. So next week, Tuesday again, we will be talking to you about how to fund your qualification and what are the different avenues. Remember, be smart and join that webinar. We've reached our Q&A segment. So lots of questions that have been answered in the chat. So I want to thank our speakers today for already being proactive in answering the questions. We will be taking a few hands. So I want to ask that in the last 15 minutes before we get into our announcement section, please, if you have a question for us, pick up your hand. If you feel we still haven't answered your question, pick up your hand so that we acknowledge you. Our team in the background will be taking up, we'll be activating, enabling your microphones to hear from you. Before we get to the Q&A segment, we want to also hear from you. Has this webinar been helpful or not? And which other topics you'd like us to discuss? Please look at the chat function for our short feedback form that we'd like you to complete. So important that we hear what you think and how we can better our services to you as #SecureTheGrad. While you are completing that, we will be taking the first couple of hands. Let's see who we have. Okay. We have Nkanyi, so I just want to check with our technical team if we're able to enable Kanyisa. We're able to enable Kanyisa's microphone. Kanyisa, your microphone has been enabled. Please go ahead with your question. Kanyisa, are you able to hear us? Okay, while we're trying to get Kanyisa back, Kanyisa, please just try and switch. There are options to select which microphone you want to use. I'm asking that we then enable Sibusiso. Let's hear from Sibusiso. Sibusiso, please try and unmute your microphone. All right, Sibusiso.
Hello, ma'am.
We can hear you. There we go. What
Okay,
is the question today?
All right. Since we submitted the DV2 forms here, but we didn't get response from nurse faculty, so then I'm wondering if that will be the case, that we might not be able to register this year, or maybe we will have like more time added on the registration period.
So you are from the NAS faculty, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to highlight, remember also, ladies and gents, registration officially kicked off on the 29th of January. So we are in day 2 of our registration period for our seniors. And I want to encourage that we give a little bit of grace, because there's quite a number of students that the faculty needs to get to. So I want to encourage that you give just a little bit of time. And I'm going to ask Gugu also, if maybe Gugu, you want to jump in here to speak to Busiso.
No, very accurate votes. You've actually hit the nail on the head. Please do afford some time. If you've sent it to NAS Advising, so it's NASADVISING@ufs.ac.za. The team is working at getting through all of those emails, and your form will be processed. Give it 2-3 days, and then you check your ADS. Sometimes we don't inform you, but it's processed on your ADS. So keep an eye on your ADS for any status changes as things take place. Thank you.
Thanks, Gugu. Busiso, are you covered? Awesome. So let's move to Kabelo. Yeah. All right. Kabelo, we're going to enable your microphone. Please unmute your mic. You were almost audible. You want to try again, Kabelo?
Now.
We can hear you now. Go for it. What's your question?
Thank you. This question is for us, Gugu, because I wanted to find out, let's say a student is registered in the humanities faculty in their first year, then second year going forward, then they want to change and go do nursing, because I know the university gives you a period of time as to when can you finish. Won't that affect you in any how? Because now, you know, in nursing it's like 4 years, but then again, you have already studied with humanities. So I don't know what's happening there, and won't you be academically excluded depending on your academic standing?
Good question there, Gugu. Can I take 2 more questions? Because I know sometimes students ask similar questions, then we can see how we can maximize the responses there. Happy, we're going to enable your mic as well as Nico. Let's hear what your questions are. Happy Muso.
Hi, thanks once again. I wanted to find out in regards to the finance hold. Since NSS has cleared me and I was able to register via D4 form, but in order for them to process like my registration, my finance hold needs to be uplifted. So I've been trying to get hold of the finance, but it's like I'm having a network problem. So I'm not really sure, because I have an outstanding fee of like 200 and something. So I was told I'll be able to register. So I'm not really sure which should I pay, or should I wait for them to uplift my hold, or because I've never encountered this ever since.
Your question is clear. We'll also see how we can help you there. Buhlebe Nkosi. So I see my microphone was muted there. So Buhlebe Nkosi, it's your opportunity to ask your question. Please unmute and go for it.
Hi.
You are allowed to ask your question.
Okay, I wanted to ask if we have to register in person for people in the law faculty.
Short and sweet, we'll get to your question. Okay, so let us speak to those three questions that came out. Any of our panelists that feel ready to answer can go for it. Let's see who wants to tackle the questions we've had.
I'll take a stab at it, but there's one I specifically want to hand over to Rosaline as a nursing graduate. So just to start off with, and I'm going to start from the bottom up, with the Faculty of Law, they are like the Faculty of the Humanities. Their registration is taking place face-to-face, so please visit them on the Bloemfontein campus in the EXR building. They are there to assist you. If you need anything to clarify before you get to the faculty, you're more than welcome to email them at lawadvising@ufs.ac.za. But they are preferring that students do the face-to-face, as is the Faculty of the Humanities. So law registration face-to-face. Then the finance hold. Unfortunately, I'm not qualified to respond to this, but just the short and sweet. One of the reasons why you might have the hold is because of your outstanding debt that is blocking your new NSFAS that you've been allocated. So please do make contact pertaining your outstanding fees to tuition fees. So whatever debt you have outstanding from the previous year, just can contact the tuition fees office, tuitionfees@ufs.ac.za. And then for your financial aid, which is your NSFAS allocation, you can contact the financial aid office. But as Evodia said, stay tuned in 6 February. They will be here to answer all of those questions. The last one, and I'm going to do a segment of it and hand over to our qualified nurse that is with us, our mother. So to transfer from one faculty, because you would be transferring from the Faculty of the Humanities to the Faculty of Health Sciences, moving from a BA or B Social Science into nursing. Remember, nursing is a selection program. So you would need to ensure that you adhere to the selection criteria for nursing. That's first and foremost. Then you need to have applied for nursing. So to be considered for selection, you need to have submitted an online application via the UFS online application system, captured your application there, and then you can start studying. Because you would have only studied 1 year of the BA, that does not affect your residential period. As I indicated, you're allowed to change once. So for a 3-year degree, you get an extra 2 years. For a 4-year degree, you also get an extra 2 years. So for a 3-year degree, you must complete within 5 years. For a 4-year degree, you must complete within 6 years. And for a 5-year degree, you must complete within 7 years. So transferring to nursing, you would still have the minimum residential period on condition that you met the selection and admission criteria that was applied before. So I hope that helps. Rosaline, as our qualified nurse, and because nursing was once upon a time in the Faculty of the Humanities, I don't know if there's anything you want to add in addition to that. Thank you.
Google, that's so unfair because I was not there when the nursing was in the humanities. But I think you've answered it very well because now it's a new program. The student is starting a new program. And I want to liken it almost to what Nkamula said, to say, if you are excluded even from the URRT, and it doesn't mean the end of the world for you. If you go and apply, if I'm excluded in the humanities, but I feel that I'm going to apply afresh and I'm going to go to, for argument's sake, law or health sciences, I'm going to be starting afresh. That exclusion does not have anything to do with this. As long as I'm going to study and make sure that I don't get excluded again. So that's a totally new, different ballgame. So thanks, Kuka. I think you've answered it very well.
That's our first round of questions. We're going to open up for a second round. Le Tlogonolo Diatile, as well as Ms. S. Mkwanazi. We're going to enable your microphones. Le Tlogonolo, go for it. Please unmute your microphone. Tlogonolo, remember to unmute your microphone.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your question?
Well, I want to know, like, for senior students who have a positive academic standing, like, do we send a TV form or like we register online?
Which faculty are you in?
In the NAS faculty.
NAS faculty. So we're going to answer that question now. So let's take a question from Diatile. Diatile, please remember to unmute your microphone. Diatile, try again. Please try and, yeah.
I think it's fine now. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My question is more so related to the finance, because yesterday I went on campus to register, and I was awarded a merit award for registration. So I was convinced, or from what I knew, I could be able to register with the debt that I had from last year. But they couldn't register me. They said that I should wait for the hold or for the minimum to be raised to more than just 20,000, so that I could pay less than 2,000, so that I'll be able to register. So my question is, am I going to still find space, and am I going to still register, because I'm also waiting for the funding?
Which faculty are you registered with, Diatil?
The Faculty of Education.
All right, thanks for that question. I'm not sure if we're able to answer, but we're going to see if we can attempt. And then last but not least, Ms. Mkwanazi, please unmute your microphone. We'd like to hear your question.
Okay. Afternoon, ma'am. Am I audible?
You are audible. What's your question?
Well, my question is, I'm one of those who are waiting for a response from Appels. So my question is, what if they respond late? Are we still gonna be able to register? Because I've applied like since last year November, still no response.
Okay, so we've got those 3 questions. Let's take one more question, because I see we're getting more hands. Let's take Bipilo. If we can just enable Bipilo's microphone, and then we'll answer this round of questions. Bipilo? People are going once, going twice, gone. All right, so let's get from our panel. If we're able to answer a few of those questions, who would like to go first? Gugu.
It's can go, and then I'll just add on the appeals. It's fine.
Okay, thank you. So the first question that I got was a Green NAS student. Green NAS student, you can proceed with your registration. Just check in with your program director that you have all the modules you need to register. You can just drop your program director an email, just verifying all the emails you need to register. And once your finances are sorted, you're A4 away and good to register. So Green NAS student, thumbs up to you. In terms of the Faculty of Education, it's a very tight one for me to respond, but I'm picking up that there is first the finances that need to be sorted. So I would suggest that you contact tuition fees. There is a institutional financial working group that discusses how much a student should owe before they can qualify for provisional registration. And tuition fees is the office that can give you more clarity as, is it 20,000, is it 200,000, is it 50,000, or is it 5,000? And what is the exact amount you need to pay? I heard you mention 2,000 Rand. I don't think it's a straight out 2,000 Rand. I know you might have heard from a friend or found out on one of those UFS unofficial Facebook pages. I ask and implore you to reach out to our tuition fees office and get the correct information that is relevant to your account. Remember, I might be owing 198 Rand and 50 cent, and you might be owing 203 Rand and 50 cent. And that 4 Rand difference does make a difference. So I might need to pay 50 Rand and you might need to pay 100 Rand. So please contact Tuition Fees and they'll give you the exact steps to follow as a student with the amount that you need to settle before you then register. Registration is a first come, first serve basis. The fact that you are admitted, there is only so much time that we can give you to come and register. If that time lapses, it is unfortunate. So I would encourage you to reach out as soon as possible to the Financial and Tuition Fees Office to sort out your finances and then start with your registration. As you heard from Merosline and Evodia, registration started yesterday, so you might have a day or two, but try and do it as soon as possible, because then we're starting with first year registration, and after first year registration is closed and we start with classes. So I think that is, for me, the two questions I can respond to. I don't know if any of my colleagues would like to add to what I've said, but I hope that does help for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gugu. I think you've covered that. I just also wanted to say education is also face-to-face. So the students who would like to register under education can go to EXR 4. That's where Department Faculty of Education is. And then in terms of the appeals, I'm not sure where the student is, but in our faculty we dealt with 40 appeals last week. We are going to be handling 57 on the 1st. So as soon as we finish, those students, whom we approve the appeals, can go and register. Those who go for URRT are also given an opportunity. And I think Lamulo would probably explain this further, how they are given an opportunity, as although at some point it's not an ideal situation, but we always say, because this is the time that we're handling them, we still offer them that opportunity. So maybe Lamulo can add to that. So thanks, Gugu, about the tuition fees. You said Facebook page. I think it's something worth looking into as students. I think we might as well become students so as to help them. Over to you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Dr. Roslyn. With the question on appeals, if they happen to respond late, will you still be able to register? If your application is in the pipeline and then classes starts before you get an outcome, what a short paragraph we put from the URRT outcome letter is that you should continue studying, provided that you will not need an academic catch-up plan. If you and the faculty are in agreement that the work that has been done is not a lot, you'll still be able to catch up by yourself, you should be allowed to register. So there isn't a yes or no answer. So once you get the outcome letter, you should just, we always say that please contact your faculty for a way forward. So in that contact with your faculty, you will be able to discuss with them if the work that has been done will be able to catch up or not, without an official catch-up plan from the university. So yeah. All right, thank you.
That is so important, Dr. S. Over to you.
Yeah, I think what Lamuli is saying reminds me of an example, and I think this is very important for our students to learn. I had a student, but who was doing a higher certificate, and the student was, and you, Lamuli would remember the student case very well. The student said, my appeal was still in the process, and my colleagues said, let's attend classes. The student is attending classes, but is not on Blackboard, is not anywhere, it's not registered. And only late, towards the end of the year, she comes in my office. And I realized that here's a letter, my daughter, you were told to submit your appeal to this office, and you have not done it. And the student says, but Mama, I'm a first year student. I do not take that because from grade 12, you are able to read. If you do not understand, you go to the advisors, your friends. Do not go with your colleague that is in the same level with you, because you both are not yet clear about the processes. It really is frustrating because I had to follow this student. I phoned Ntamilo to say, please, I'm sending this student to submit. And we were also looking at the fact that it might not be possible. So we're giving these examples so that our students can realize at some point we push our luck to that extent, even though we realize it is really not worth it. So I think it's very important that the students should actually also come to the part. Learning is your responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. If I can just quickly add on what Dr. Roslyn just said now, it's you as a student, you must also be able to, assess, the situation. If you were out of class for 3 weeks, do you really want to go back after 3 weeks and try to catch up and find yourself on the back end of exclusion again? Or should you rather say, I'll just take this semester out, continue in the second semester so that I do not disadvantage myself? But I understand the issues of, funding, NSFAS and the whole shebang. But at the end of the day, you need to make sure that if you're gonna take the opportunity to continue at the time you are given and you are behind, do yourself a favor and put everything aside and catch up with what you missed.
Thank you so much. We unfortunately have reached the end of our Q&A segment, but a lot has been answered during in the chat function. This Q&A segment also answered quite a lot of your questions. So Emmanuel, Malekhonono, Bongi, and Nemo, I'm so sorry that we can't take your questions right now, but please do get in touch with us. Our contact details are GPS. For GPS, we've got trained agents ready to speak to you, answer your questions, to redirect you to the respective people on campus that can help you. Contact us on 051-401-9111, press option 2. Alternatively, email us at gps@ufs.ac.za. For advising, remember we've got Bloemfontein, Kwakwa South Campus. For Bloemfontein is advising@ufs.ac.za. For Kwakwa is advising QQ@ufs.ac.za. South Campus advising SC@ufs.ac.za. But remember, you can also chat to us on WhatsApp. Our WhatsApp line is 087-240-6370. I'll repeat that for you, 087-240-6370. Very important. Our chat functions from 8 o'clock in the morning up until 4:30. If we've missed you, we will again in the morning get back to you. Remember, if you call us on 051-2444 and also leave us a voice message, we'll get back to you. So please, students, we ask that you get in touch with us. Advising Facebook page, Kohelandi Scam Facebook page, unofficial pages. It's my friend saying, I heard this via that. And you don't want to be in trouble, like the story we heard, a student whose friends told them to do this and they missed out on an opportunity. So follow Academic Advising Facebook page. They do send out official UFS communication. If you need tutoring, remember, A-Step is there for you, astep@ufs.ac.za. But this email, keep it for the 12th of February. We want to encourage that we hear your feedback. Complete the evaluation form for us. We want to see how we can bring more exciting webinars to you. If you somehow lost out on information, load shedding happened, you ran out of data, or you want to re-listen to the advice today, remember that our sessions have been recorded. They are available on Blackboard under the Student Success Portal. Just look for Secure the Grad. Alternatively, you can find us on YouTube on #SecureTheGrad. Please remember to follow our Instagram pages. So we are at Secure the Grad on Instagram. Just want to congratulate our winners. So today we've picked a couple of you, Lerato Mpolibeko, Siabonga, Hannah, Tabo Mohobo, and Sibongile. You see why you should give us your full name and surname. It's very important, otherwise we're not able to reach out to you. If you are identified as a winner today, please send us the following details, your name as well as your surname, including your student number. Where can you send that? Send it via email to securethegrad@ufs.ac.za. Give us between 5 and 7 days. We will get back to you to inform you how you can collect your prize. Congratulations to our winners. Last but not least, we want to make sure that you are supported. Please reach out to all the avenues throughout registration. Remember, if you forget anything, 051 401 9111, Rescue 911. Okay, you guys are too young to remember the program, Rescue 911, but please, UFS number 051 401 9111, option 1 or option 2. There are people available to help you 8 o'clock to 4:30 every single day. To our guests today, we want to say a heartfelt thank you. Gugu, Pastor H, and Rosaline, also known as Dr. S, you've been awesome. I mean, awesome is just an understatement. The information we've learned today really puts us on the right track to secure the grad. Our audience, you have been absolutely amazing. The questions coming in, so we want to say a huge thank you for this. Remember, we have put down the sign-up link for our finance webinar. Next week, same place, same time, we will have finance as well as accommodation. So if you're struggling with accommodation, you don't know who to talk to, your application has not been responded to, we have the people here to answer your question. Which accommodation is accredited by the UFS? What does it even mean? So please come to us. Tuition, those merit bursaries. I heard people talk about merit bursaries, post-grad funding, or loans that you can apply for while you're waiting to find out about your financial status. Please come and join us next week. From myself, Evodia Mohanyani, as well as the rest of the Secure the Grad crew, we want to say thank you, goodbye, and tune in next week, Tuesday.
Thank you very much, and bye, colleagues.